Roll for Crit presents How to Play Kokopelli in 5 minutes or less or more. Kokopelli is the game of deities and ceremonies inspired by the artwork and culture of indigenous peoples in the American Southwest. Designed by Stefan Feld and published by Queen Games. Your goal in Kokopelli is to get more victory points than any other player by opening and completing ceremonies using your personal ceremony cards. At the start of the game, 10 selection tiles will be randomly chosen and laid out at the center of the play area. These will determine which 10 ceremonies of which colors will be used for that game. Each player then receives 30 ceremony cards, 3 of each matching color, plus 6 Kokopelli cards. These 36 cards are shuffled together to make up the player's personal decks. Each player also has a village board with 2 spaces on either side of their deck. So this section is known as your village, but you also need to be aware of your play area, which encompasses not only your village board, but also the 2 spaces closest to you on either side, on the village boards of the players to your left and right. You'll be able to interact with these spaces too, as I'll explain shortly. At the game's start, each player will draw 5 cards from their personal decks, then the starting player takes the first turn. On your turn, you'll take 2 actions from a choice of 5 total. You can take the same action twice or 2 different actions as you see fit. Actually, during the first round, the first and second player only get to take 1 action, but after that, it'll always be 2 actions per turn for everybody. Your first action option is drawing a card. Simply take the top card of your draw pile and add it to your hand. Your next action choice is opening a ceremony. Choose a ceremony card from your hand, not a Kokopelli card, and place it in an empty space in your village. This space must be empty, and the ceremony card you choose must be a color that is not already present in an existing ceremony in your play area, meaning your own board or the 2 spaces closest to you on either side. If that color is present somewhere in your play area, then you can't use a matching card to start a new ceremony. In addition to a color, each ceremony card also grants the player whose village it was placed in a special ability, which comes into play as soon as it's been placed. For example, as long as a hunter ceremony is in play in your village, you'll draw 2 cards instead of 1 when taking the draw action on your turn. Read each ability carefully to make sure you understand all their benefits. Once 1 or more ceremonies have been opened in your play area, then you can choose to take the play card action. This allows you to play a card from your hand to extend an existing ceremony of the matching color. While you can't use Kokopelli cards to open new ceremonies, you can use them to extend existing ones. They act as wilds and can be used to extend any open ceremony regardless of color. Extending a ceremony has no immediate effect, but if a 4th card is played to one, that ceremony is considered finished. Whichever player owns the village board in which the ceremony was finished takes the cards involved in that ceremony and adds them to their personal discard pile. Once a ceremony has been finished, the ability it provided is lost, and that space is once again available for a new ceremony to be opened in. Each selection tile holds a 4-point token on top of a 3-point token. The first player to complete a ceremony of a particular color will take that top token and thereby score 4 points, while the second player to complete one of that color will take the 3-point token. Once the 3-point token is removed, a game end token is added to it. From that point on, anyone who finishes a ceremony of that color will receive just 1 point. If someone else completes a ceremony in your village, you also receive 1 victory point as a bonus. If you don't want a ceremony in your village for any particular reason, you can take the Cancel Celebration action to take all of one ceremony's associated cards and place them in your discard pile. You can only cancel ceremonies in your own village, not from your extended play area. And if you aren't happy with the cards in your hand, you can take the Exchange Cards action. Place your entire hand face down underneath your deck in any order you like, then redraw the same number of cards from the top in order to form a new hand. After performing 2 actions, your turn is over. If you have more than 5 cards in hand at this time, you must put the excess cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. If you manage to play all your cards and your hand is empty at the end of your turn, you get a bonus victory point and you get to draw 3 cards right away. Players continue taking turns in clockwise order, opening, extending, and completing ceremonies until one of 2 things happens. Either one player's draw pile runs out completely, or the final game end token is added to a selection tile. When either event occurs, the current round is completed so that all players have an equal number of turns, and then the game ends. At the end of the game, all players discard any cards left in their hands, and whoever has the fewest cards remaining in their draw piles gains 5 additional points. The player with the second fewest cards gains 3 points. Players also get an additional point for each ceremony in play of any size in their own villages. Then, count up all your victory point tokens, and whoever has the most wins. If playing with only 2 players, start with 10 game end tokens instead of 9, and players can have 5 ceremonies in their village instead of only 4. After your first game, you can add in more complicated ceremony cards, or even the Kokopelli Expansion 1, which features 9 new ceremony types for a more strategic and varied experience. In conclusion, open ceremonies, extend ceremonies, finish ceremonies, and be as celebratory as you can be. That's Kokopelli in a nutshell. Did you get all that?